Week break. But hello, everyone. My name is Leigh Bella Ralston, also known as Mommy Leigh on the internet. We'd like to do a little bit of admin before we get started with the class. Please know that this class is being recorded. And if you are watching this on replay, then you know that it is uploaded on YouTube. But for people right now, if there's anything that you might have missed during the class and you want to view it, you can always catch the replay. It will be available on Michael's YouTube channel within 24 to 48 hours. And during the class, if you have any question, you may use the chat button and I will see your questions also. And if you have any troubles, ran into some troubles, make sure to leave them in the chat too, and him and it can help us resolve that issue. And if you don't want to see the chat button, I think that you can not use a chat button. And also make sure that you're watching on speaker view. Okay, I think I got the admin stuff. Hello, everyone. Hello, everybody. Hello, Lakita. Hi, Tina. Hi, Barbara. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in today. As you can see, we have this cute kawaii image right here. And this is what we're going to work on today. If you've downloaded the handout, you can start tracing it if you'd like. But if you want, we can start learning and maybe recreate our little girl. This is what I have in here. Maybe we can start from the beginning and recreate her. Now, if you have for the circle, I don't know why my screen is making that funny color. Let's change that. Right. There we go. There. So if you have anything that is round that you can use for your circle for the globe, you can grab that, a cup or anything, I actually am going to use a template right here that I got from Michael's. So it comes in different sizes and shapes like that. So if you want a bigger size, you can always use the larger. It's always fun. And for today's class, let's talk a little bit about supplies that we're going to use. I'll be using the Faber-Castell Albrecht Durer watercolor pencils. It is this one right here, like that. If you do not have these pencils right here, it's okay. If you have the gold Faber Aqua pencils, you may use them as well. And we'll talk a little bit about that, while we're doing the class. We'll talk about the difference and why you would want the other more than the other. My brain is not working today. Since we're going to be using with some watercolor pencils, we need a paper. We need a paper that is going to take some moisture or water. And that's why I have here a watercolor pad. This is the artist level number 2 from Michael's from Artist Loft. If you have a mixed media paper, that's also going to work. Watercolor pad, anytime that I'm going to use a pencil, I always prefer something that, now this was a personal, it is a personal choice. Some people like to use a much more smoother and not so textured paper. Personally, I love something that's more textured, if that makes sense. So this one is a cold press. So cold press, which means it's going to have a bit more texture. If you're going to use a hot press watercolor, it's going to have a much smoother texture than that cold press, right? And then for my brushes, I have a number 4. I believe I have number two brush. You can also use a water brush like this that has a continuous flow. This one is from Faber-Castell. Sometimes I like it. Sometimes I don't like using a water brush. It just really depends. I think my favorite time to use a water brush is when I'm doing some sort of blending when it comes to lettering, or I have a much larger image that I want a continuous flow of water instead of, me keep on dipping on a bowl of water. And speaking of water, I do have a bowl of water in here. We're not going to do a whole lot of blending. We just need some water to blend the pigments using these pencils. And we're going to work on that. So let me use up all my space. Okay, close that. All right. Been curious. Okay, I'm going to go pull up the chat so I'll make sure that I don't miss any of your questions. All right. So like what I said, if you did download the handout, you may start transferring it to your watercolor paper. If you have a graphite pencil, this is one way that I like to cheat on that and not buy some graphite sheets, is this. So I am going to just apply my graphite like this. And then we'll just adjust our light also so you guys can see. I'm using a 2B pencil. Now a regular HB paper works as well. So if that's what you have, that works. Let me see if I can adjust my screen. There you go. Much, much better. So we can really pick up that pencil. So you can do this. Just a very wide stroke. So you have continuous stroke in there, and make sure to cover the whole image. And then if you just put it on top of against the light, then you can see if it's all covered. You may use your phone like that, and then you might transfer that image. But I think for today's class, I really want to walk you through the step-by-step because I think it's important to really learn the importance of using shapes when it comes to creating your own character, especially kawaii characters like this. And if you have been following and attending my classes for a while now, you do know that I love kawaii illustrations. So I'm going to start with a circle. Now this one is going to be hard to perfect. So I'm going to use a template in here. So we're celebrating World Day, and I want to make sure that my globe is on the left because my little girl will be holding it. So to make sure that my image still would be centered, my globe will be a little bit to the left. And yes, I'm going to start with that. I'm going to go darken my screen a bit more so we can just really pick up the pencil. Sometimes it's really hard to pick up that pencil. All right, see. So I started with that. Now, like what I said, when we're creating a character, let's look at this first and analyze it. Now we have a circle here. We can draw another circle for the whole face and the head, right? So if that's what we want, we can use another bit of a template in here. So let's just choose a little smaller one. I'm going to use this one perhaps. I believe this is 2 inches. And so part of her face would be hidden behind the globe. So just like that. And we'll start with shapes so you guys can see. All right. So we have 2 circles, right? And if you're sketching it, make sure that you sketch lightly so it'll be easy to erase in a little bit. Now we have, this is a triangle almost like that, right? So let's draw that triangle for the body. Again, sketch lightly. Ease up on your pressure like that. I'm going to have to just apply a little bit of pressure so you guys can see my pencil marks. Now we're going to do another triangle almost, but inverted, or if you want, just invert one. So the opposite of that shape. But this one, we have to stretch it just a bit more, make it just a little longer than what we did earlier, and then close it in. But it's not a perfect triangle where it's like sharp on the top. So we don't have, it's almost like it doesn't really have a corner. So it's a cylinder like this. It's close to that triangle shape. Almost a mountain if you want to talk about images. So it's like, okay, now we have 2 and 2 in here. And we're done. And we're just joking. Okay, hold on, see if I have. Okay, so now that we have our basic, I really want to get started with, I always start with the face. And again, this is just something that I've gotten so used to. It's been part of my practice. I like to see the face of my character right away when I'm doing this. So with my girl, think of it as the parting, I'm going to part her hair on the side. And so we can start with one like this, going down. And then another, if you want, you can start in the middle, just so you can see it and then on the side. And we can alter this later and add more style, but basically now we just want to get everything laid out. And then for the ear, just like this. Now, parts of the rule is that they say that the face should be, our eyes should be lining up with our ears. Now we're drawing a character here, and I really want to show you some examples of how it's going to change it with different sizes of what you're going to create. For example, but let me just adjust and let me just draw the eyes. With my kawaii eyes, all I need is 2 dots, right? And then a button nose, just like that. And then a very tiny, cute mouth or a letter U. That's what I need. Now, sometimes I play around with the size of my ears. Now I have, if it's drooping a little low, and bigger, it almost looks like it gives it more of a youth, a younger character than a pointier. Everything is going to just look good a little bit more. Because can you imagine if I have a cute character like this and I will make my ears pointy like that? It's going to look different. You want to make sure that you always stay within your character. But then when you're doing caricature or some cartoon like this, there's really no rules. It's almost like being trying many different things is always welcome. So if you want to make your ears a little bit more square, guess what? It's also going to work. So these are the exercises that I would love for you to practice at home when you're creating your own character. For example, you want your ears to be a bit more pointy on the end. See, everything kind of just works because this is not realism. This is you're creating your own cartoon character. And so I want you to really play around with your imagination and try a bit more. If you want the eyes a bit more bigger, you can always do that. But with me, I'm going to make it simple and round and slightly on the bigger end just because I feel like it's so cute. All right. And then now with the face, instead of just one circle, how I like to do it is from the where my hair ended like this. It's almost where the hair and the face touch. I like to make a little bit of a cheek. Now I'm going to zoom it just so you can see it a little better. Like that. Did you see this little tiny bump right here? Now I'm going to start it again so you guys can see. So from the hairline over here on the side or the sideburns, I kind of stretch it just a little. And then I meet again in the middle, follow that circle. But there's just a little bit of that cheek in there that makes it more cute. Okay. And then for the eyebrows, this is so important because this can change the whole look of your character. For my cute kawaii characters, I always stick with that very tiny, short, not long, not arched, not shaped, because you're going to see that if you play around with your eyebrows, it's almost going to change your character every single time. Sometimes I like to do like this, where it's slightly thicker, but it's still on the very short side. And there, it's not arched. Unless you want it angry, then you can play around with your eyebrows. But I want it very simple, very dainty, very almost very too small for the face. Does that make sense? It's like that. All right, now I'm going over my eraser because now we have a silhouette and a guide where the body is, we have the face and all that. Now we're going to start creating a much better outline that we can follow. So now for the shirt, I want to start with the neck first. See, I just added 2 lines parallel to one another, a curving line like that for the neck. And that defines my neck. And then for my shirt, I always start with the neckline of my shirt, just like that. And then I'm going to stretch this one over here, going to be her right arm because she's going to be holding the globe. So again, it's too cartoonish. So yes, it's not proportion. Why is the right arm so much more longer? Well, because she's going to be holding the globe. So we're going to use a little bit of our imagination right here. And so as I'm noticing, to me, I feel like, okay, I think I made my triangle just a bit wider. Now remember, that is just our guide, that first shapes that we created earlier. So we want, if you feel like it's a bit too wide for your liking, then you can always make adjustments right here. So I'm just going to go bring this down slightly narrower than our original. So I just want to see the body. I feel like I could be a little bit more on the side on this one. That's why I love pencils, because you can make adjustments and all that. It's my best friend. All right, now for the arm, I want you to, from the neckline right here, bring your arm down a little bit. So just almost following the same size for this line right here. And then we're going to create the elbow, and then we're going to bring this up to create the arm. That. So if we want it to be holding the other globe, we have to stretch it out a little bit more, right? So make some adjustments. I'm going to bring this down right here. And then really stretch my arm until I meet the elbow on that side. And then I'm going to create the arm like that. And this is the part where you do a whole lot of adjustments. As long as we lay down our guide, our body, our position, that's the very first thing that matters most, because then you can start making adjustment. You can make the hair longer, short, you know, as long as you have your position, you're good to go. All right, see here, I have that. I think I look good. I'm going to close this in. Now I'm going to follow what we created here, the triangle or that cone going down. I'm going to bring it down. You can put line in the middle. Don't go all the way up to its shirt. Just like that. Clean it up just a little bit. This 2B really is too dark for me, especially for sketching. You want to use a regular HB, but for the camera to pick it up, I have to use a much darker graphite pencil just so you guys can see it. So see, I'm not going to bring this all the way up. I'm just going to leave a little bit space and just a line like that, a small line. Now, what you're going to understand is that every small changes you're going to create is going to impact your whole drawing. And I didn't realize that, because when I used to make changes, I would erase everything. And then all of a sudden the whole illustration changed just because of how much change I made. So when I say a small change, really small change, right? So here we're going to close this in. And now we're ready to make our hand. Now you can make, now hands are so tricky, even in realism or even in cartoon characters, they are tricky. So trust me, I understand. Now, if you want to stay with this very cartoonish character, you can make a round like this and just a thumb to hold it down. So something like this will do, because again, this is a kawaii character. Almost like that. And then here, we're going to place our hand over to this side. Oh, it's tricky. Hold on. I'm going to pretend like I'm holding it. So my thumb would be on this top. And then this will be the hand. All right. So your thumb would be kind of like holding the side of the globe. Does that make sense? I'm going to go up and just draw a thumb like that. Right now, I'm going to go here for my ear. Make sure I'm on frame. And then go line up. And then bring this down. It's for my ears. I'm going to adjust my hairline. So see, I make a lot of adjustments. I'm going to make it just a little bit where it has a wave. Meets over there. Just like that. And I think I'm going to stick with my cute little tiny eyebrows like that. Okay, so for our hair, I want to make my hair long. So over here, the bottom of my ear, can you see that? I'm going to make, look at this, a wavy line. So it's just 1, 2, curl and up. Now you can just make it straight. That's okay also. And then from here, I'm going to go bring this like that until it reaches the side of her legs. And then over here, I'm going to fix it so I can visualize my arm. Just connect that over here. So that's her arm right there. Now this is the part where you can adjust your shirt. You can add some pattern. You can add another neckline. I like doing this. Just adding kind of like a thickness to its color. I want to do that also in my sleeve, kind of like that. Those simple things. Now for my hair, imagine my hair is coming from here, right? So I want it to go on this side. So I'm almost just going to follow this, kind of like not really drawing anything, but I'm just imagining where the hair would fall down on the side and just kind of like connect it over there. All right, let me zoom out just a little bit, like that. Now for my feet, I'm going to do first. Now maybe I should zoom in here so you guys can see this one. So almost like 4 diagonal lines. And then a curve. And then another curved line. And then another one, like the letter U. I feel like this could be better. So let's adjust that one. I'm going to adjust my curved lines. The other feet is almost hidden under behind this right foot. So, but again, simple. I'm just going to do 2 letter U's over there. It's just simple as that. So it's almost like it's behind the other foot. It's like hiding and behind that foot. All right, I feel like it's ready. Now for my globe, I'm just going to add the land. So we're not going to be very specific and precise. So we're just going to add parts for the land and the rest would be blue. Part adding the continents. That is a made up continents. And then I'm going to add my 2 button. I'm not going to add a nose for this one, but just a mouth. All right, I think I'm good. I'm going to go darken up my sketch right here. I can make it better. She's so cute. She looks so different than the original character that I created. I'm just gonna do this. All right. So the Albrecht Dürer watercolor markers. What is the difference between the Albrecht Dürer watercolor markers and the Goldfaber Aqua? First of all, let's start with the appearance of the pencil. This one, I'm gonna adjust my lightness now because that is so dark. Okay. So this time, as you can see, the Albrecht Dürer pencils in here, the lead is colored. So you can see this is the purple violet. So the whole lead is colored. And the Goldfaber Aqua has the gray on the body. And then at the bottom of your pencil, you will see the color. And the Albrecht Dürer pencils also have a much thicker lead. It has a 3.3 lead. So there's many differences, but the question that I get is like, why would I want to spend more money for the Albrecht Dürer pencils? First of all, the Albrecht Dürer was created for the professional artists. So it has the highest quality pigment, and you're going to see the colors are much more rich. And also it has a unsurpassed light fastness, which means in layman's term, the colors are not going to fade over time. So if you really want to preserve your art, if you want to sell it maybe someday or gift it to your grandchildren, to your friends, knowing that your artwork will be pristine and vibrant for a very, very, very long time. Also, the Albrecht Dürer comes with many more colors than the Goldfaber Aqua. The Goldfaber Aqua has 48 colors, but the Albrecht Dürer comes in 120 colors. So if you know that's something that's important to you, then definitely you're going to want the Albrecht Dürer. The richness of the pigment here is just, it's crazy, like no other. This is bothering me. My little tiny hand is bothering me on that side. So I think if that's something that's bothering you too, guess what we can do with that one? We can just make almost like a mountain or kind of like a belly of a letter D, right? Like this. And then a curving line again to close it in. There. That's my tiny little hand. I'm good with that. So I'm going to go over it again with my pencil, just lighten up the sketch, because once I lay down my colors, I won't be able to erase. If there are some parts in there that you want to make sure you clean up, you can erase that. Then it's time to start doing that now. Oh my goodness, that took us 30 minutes. Why does time is fleeting? Okay, I want to start from top to bottom, just so we don't make any mess, because I have the tendency to do that. I'm going to start with my globe first so that we can get that taken care of. Now, with the Albrecht Dürer watercolor markers, you can blend your own colors. You can use another piece of watercolor paper. You can do that. Kind of like apply just a little bit of the two colors that you want. Get a water, and then you can blend your own, and then almost use this as a palette. Just like that. And you can apply that. But of course, we're not going to need that color. I just need my Phthalo Blue. For the colors, I did include this in the worksheet and the class description, but we have 110 Phthalo Blue, we have purple violet, we have middle purple pink, and then for the skin, we all have different beautiful skin colors, so I didn't really want to include the colors that I want, but for me, something that's going to work, because I have brown skin, maybe a burnt sienna. I also pulled out some coral. So those are the colors that I might use for my skin. But if you want to skip the skin color, that's totally fine. I have black 199 and then leaf green 112. Now, if you're going to use the Goldfaber pencils, the only one that I didn't find are the Phthalo Blue. But you can use 120 for that. For my leaf green, you can use the 266 also, but those are different colors, but they work. Green and blue, for that. And then I have a little purple in here, the same numbers. Number system is the same, 136 for the purple violet. Is that the color? Yep, the purple violet. And then I have 125 for the middle purple pink. Same color, 199 for the black. All right. So as long as if you want to use a different palette also for your girl, that's going to be fine. But for now, we're going to get started with our globe. I'm going to use my leaf green for a continent and then a phthalo blue. I'm going to start with the larger portion of the globe, which is the water. And I'm just going to start applying my pencil like a normal, regular colored pencil. Now, what's going to happen is in areas where you apply a bit more pigment, that's going to appear slightly darker in value because you're laying down more pigment than the other areas of your drawing. So to avoid this, you want to really apply the same amount of pigment. And I do this by just applying, by using the stroke, just very lightly, not lifting my pencil. And I'm also holding my pencil a bit close to the middle, because if I hold it here where to the tip of my pencil, I have the tendency to apply a bit more pressure. So to ease up on my pressure, I hold it somewhere in the middle, and then I have better control of my pressure when I am applying my color pencils. All right. So the Albrecht Durer, as you can see, obviously you can use it as a regular color pencils, or you can use them as watercolors. And it's amazing. It's I'm always mind blown every time I see that pigment transform into something so rich. The colors are so vibrant once the water touch it. I'm not even joking. That first time it happened to me, I was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't think it was possible. Now, for the areas where the continent and the water are touching, I'm going to apply just a bit more pencil in there. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. So here, now look where I'm holding my pencil. I'm holding it just closer to the tip because I want to have a precise control. And I'm just going to add a bit more here, like that. So you can do your blending now while applying your pencils, or you can also do your blending later on. But to me, I feel like I work much faster when I do this in the very beginning, where I'm intentionally laying down more pigments in areas where I want to appear a bit more darker in value. So I'm just applying more pigment in there. And this is also where choosing a right brush will help a lot, because in watercolor, what's tricky is always the amount of water you're using. And so the type of brush you're going to use with each project, specific project, really does matter. Now, I love using round brush. Again, it's a personal thing, but I feel like round brush is so versatile. I use it, I think I use it for everything. Now it's just going to depend on the size. If I'm working on a much smaller piece, a much smaller piece of artwork, then of course, and more details, and I'll use a much thinner tip, go from 0 to number 2. And if I have a much larger space, then I'm going to use a number 4, between a number 4 till the number 10. I think number 10 is the largest one that I'm going to use. Okay. And so we have the blue. Now we're going to do our green. And I'm just going to apply it like this. And I'm going to work just a bit faster because time flies when you're having fun. All right. Now, does the stroke matter? Now, I don't think so if you're going to blend it. Now, again, everybody is so different. When I was younger, I was bothered when my strokes are going all over the place. But now that I have been doing art a whole lot, I found myself intentionally creating different strokes at going different places. And I feel like it just adds more character to my type of illustration. Now, it might not work with every type of art, but with my cartoonish, very whimsical work, it really does work for me. I'm going to adjust my brightness because it's too bright. But if I'm going to blend the color pencils, the strokes that I'm doing right now is really not going to matter a whole lot. Now, again, if you're going to use the pencils with water as a watercolor, the type of paper you're going to use is very, very important, because if you're going to use just a copy paper with this type of drawing and the type of technique that we're going to use today, you are definitely not going to get the same result that you're going to see with what I'm doing right now. So it's going to depend on that type of paper. Now, if you're using a mixed media, then it's going to work. If you're using a watercolor paper, and it's going to work well. But if it's just a regular copy paper, what's going to happen is that that paper is going to really drink that moisture, and you are not going to have enough time to blend the pigment around. All right, are we ready to blend this? All right, so I have a clean number 2 round brush. I'm going to start with my green first. And then I'm not going to be super careful with the green and the blue touching. It's just going to create a beautiful aqua color or turquoise color. So not overly careful there, just getting a bit more water and just tapping. Number 2 brush is perfect for this one. It holds enough water to kind of just move it around, but it's not going to give you a pool of water that's going to be hard to control. I don't know why our green color looks so neon with a camera. It does not look neon in real life. I do not understand why. It looks so weird. Adjust it. Okay. Now, if you want to a no line artwork later, then you want to make sure that your edges are perfect. But if you're going to add a line art, then it's okay, because you can add some marker later or use the colored pencils, the black one. But to make it a bit more cartoonish, it's going to need that black outline. If you're going to leave it just like this, kind of like no outline, it's going to make it more whimsical, just a different result, really. But both look so great and look so cute. Just different. Does that make sense? Go over here. This one's much larger, so I'm needing a bit more water in here. Just like that. Oops, oops. Now this time I'm going to be careful to really get into my hand. Just like that. I don't know why the color is neon, guys. It's not neon, I promise you. But see how vibrant the colors are? They are vibrant in real life, but the green is not neon green. It is a beautiful leaf green color. So I'm not going over the edges yet. I just want to blend the middle part, because I'm also waiting for that green to somewhat dry so the colors will not bleed into each other. But if it does, again, it's okay. And it almost creates an outline because we added more pigments, almost creates this border. Don't necessarily want it, I think. So I'm just going to blend it and make sure. There's just something so magical every time I see the colors blend. Now, if you're using watercolor, just be careful of how much pigment you pick up. I think that's the one thing I love about using some watercolor markers or watercolor pencils is because I know exactly how much pigment I take. Just because I have heavy hands, sometimes I tend to pick up a bit more of the colors than I need. And so it's like, ugh, I always end up with a mess. That's why I always recommend starting really light because you can always add more. It's just extra harder to take out, but all you need is water. When it comes to watercolor, if you feel like you added too much of that color, then just add some water in your brush, apply it to your paper, pick up those colors, and then clean your brush again until you pick up the colors and erase the colors that you want. Right. I'm good with that. I like that. Okay, it's so cute. Okay, so it's gonna wait for that. I am gonna start with my hair. All right, for my hair, I'm gonna use black because I have black hair, actually black and gray. So if you want, if you have blonde, if you have red hair, or if you want pink hair, that's okay too. So I'm just gonna apply and color it in my black hair. I'm just applying it all over. And then heal the world, make it a better place. All right, I'm gonna color black over here. Just be careful, don't color in your arm, in your hand on that side. So just a bit more mindful. That side might be a bit tricky just because we have arms and hand and fingers going on in there. Apply that. Even just using it as a color pencils looks so pretty already. Well, I love using color pencils in my artwork, but having both watercolor and then pencils in one, that's bonus. Because I can always come back in later and add more green for the texture, add some pencils in there. Ooh, I like it. All right, and then I'm gonna start coloring my shirt too. So I'm gonna use my middle purple pink for my shirt. I'm just gonna do this. Now we're definitely gonna use the same color later to bring back the details. For example, that details of this arm separated to our body, we're gonna use the same color to show that. Just to make sure I don't lose my arm. It's right there. And then I'm gonna use the purple violet for my pants. And I'm gonna use the same purple violet for my details of my shirt, for my collar, so that my neckline is, the color line is much thicker. And also it separates it when you put in two different color in there. And then we look like we're a mermaid. We lost our legs. But we're gonna use this to add the details later. Right, so I'm gonna just do this. And again, purple and this middle purple pink will look good anyways if you blend it. If the colors bleed with one another, it's still gonna look great. Then I'll add my detail in there. Just adding more pigments. And also over here where my feet, my ankles, like that. Right. Okay, now I'm gonna be careful with this one. I'm gonna start with my I don't know. I'm going to start with my hair on top. Okay. Oops. Now I do have the Faber-Castell Pit Artist marker in super fine tip for me to add line art or the outline later. Like this. See, I didn't really apply too much pigment of the black because I can always add more later and I don't want it to bleed too much. I just want to lay down my first wash of color. Oops, I'm framed. Sorry, guys. My first wash of color. Like that. So cute. This one, I'm really going to be careful on this side. Like that. I think that colored my hand. It's okay. I miss my long, thick hair. Like this. That. So I'm almost following the flow of my hair like that when I'm blending. It's just hard if if you feel like you don't have enough water in your brush and you feel like you have to pick up every single time. But depending on your paper also that you're using, sometimes it gives you enough time before that water really get absorbed into the paper. So that's why your tools are as important as your skill. You can get away with it, but it might take you a bit, just an extra challenge to get that result that you want to achieve. All right, I'm happy with that. Now make sure that you clean your brush. Now, always, I like to add these two little things on top of my head. This is just something that I just like adding. Oh, you guys can see that just became part of my design. I just really, really like it. There. Now, if you feel like you want to add a bit more color in areas, if you want to add more shadow, you can always pick up the pigment directly from the pencil, but never ever dip your pencil directly into the water because you're going to ruin the wood of the pencil. So we don't want to do that. So we just want to get a wet brush and start picking some of that pigment directly from the pencil. And then you can add more colors to your drawings. Just like that. Now this is where you want to bring back the details and add some shadows, some depth. Adding some natural highlights. Just like that. And I want to add a little bit more from where my side is, but this side, instead of going down, I'm gonna go up like this. So just adding a little bit more. So no matter what color you used for your hair, you want to do this because we will have a natural shadow on this area, kind of like it just shows that it's packed in over here. And then we have a natural highlight in the middle of our head. I'm just going to add just a tiny bit more. Again, going up. If you feel like it's too dark or you have too much water, make sure to tap your brush again into another paper, or if you have a paper towel on the side, do that. I feel like I want to add a little bit more there that I don't have. See, if you have this dry stroke, you're getting this stroke from the brush, it means that you don't have any more water in your brush. So you want to dip just a little bit. So you add a little bit more moisture so you can move the pigments around. If you don't have enough water, the pigments are not going to move. That. So just if you also feel like you have too much water, you can always use your finger too. I use my finger like that. So from here, I'm going to add more here. Have I used the pencil directly? Yes, but it's going to have a different result. You'll have the texture of the pencil. And right now, I don't want it. I just want that softness of the watercolor. I'm just going to add a bit more here. Why is our time running out already? We're not done yet. Time's so fast. Yes, we can fill in the outlines for sure. That's what I'm planning on doing, is that fill in the outlines after my coloring, because it is a watercolor, so it's much softer. The colors are much softer, and I know exactly still where our outline is. Like that. All right, I'm going to start blending our clothes just so. But over here is where I'm adding more color because I'm creating this natural shadow. It's kind of like casting from her face. So don't forget to do both sides. And just be careful not to blend too much and cover the skin part. So that's why you make sure your brushes are small or thin enough to go into some delicate areas. Like that. Okay. I'm going to blend the shirt just so we can finish this one. And then I can outline part of the globe so you guys can see what it's going to look like when there's an outline. And you guys can continue and create your outline, but make sure if you're going to use a marker to make sure that your paper is completely dry before you do that. Okay, make sure that it's completely dry, or else that marker is going to bleed. It's going to create a not so fun mess. So make sure to be careful. I do have a heat gun, a heat tool for that. So I'll be able to do it and demonstrate it so you guys can see it and not wait for this paper to completely dry before I do that. Now, the PITT Artist pens are archival and they are waterproof. You can always do your outline first if you feel like you're going to lose your line and you're not going to know where to add your outlines. You can always use the PITT Artists first and then color it in. But again, similar, even though these are waterproof, take some time for the inks to fully dry before you start applying your watercolors or your water in your page. because of the paper that you're using, the watercolor paper, again, it has this where what it does is that it holds the moisture on top of the paper. And so even with the markers that you're using, even if it's archival, you still have to be patient just a little bit and wait for it to completely dry before you start adding in your watercolors or your watercolor markers or pencils. There we go. Now to bring back some of the details, we're going to have to add some colors or use the outline for that one. And I think I'm going to use the outline for the pants and for the globe so you guys can see before I leave you guys. I want to dry it. It's turning out so cute. And I think it's completely dry. All right. So I have the PITT Artist pen in super fine, the letter S. And this one has a very fine tip like that. And so it's perfect for like small details, like the eyes, just like that, and the mouth. If you want to have that variation of stroke, you can always use the PITT Artist pen in brush. Now that one is going to give you that really comic look, and that's my favorite. This one is the letter B, which is the brush tip, and I will show you what it looks like. So notice how clean this line is. And here, with the PITT Artist pen and brush, because of the brush tip, it's going to give you a variation of stroke depending on the amount of pressure that you use while applying it. Now, this one is my favorite because it truly does give me that comic. See how I can add some thin and then thick lines like that. Just like that. I know we're almost done, guys, but I really want to finish the outline so we can see our little girl. Hang with me just a few minutes more. But this is it. Do you guys have any questions before I leave you? Again, my eyebrows, short and sweet. You can also use it for lines and details as long as you use the tip of the marker and really go gentle on your pressure because it's easy. You can easily mess up. So you have to think light as a feather. Just like that. So which one do you like more? Do you like the more cleaner, more refined look of the super fine tip? I'd love to know. I am a fan of a brush pen. I think I will always be forever a brush pen girl. But there are moments where I really need that fine tip. So I go reach out for my super fine as well. But to me, I think really brush pen is my favorite. See that thin and thick line? I love it. I love it so much. Again, it's a personal choice like that. But I think I'm going to use my, oops, my hair. Like that. I'm going to use the super fine for my globe. Which one did I use? Oop, this one. I think this is what I used. Okay, don't go over your hand. Again, if you want to go watch the replay, it's going to be available after 24, give it some time, 24 to 48 hours on Michael's YouTube channel. But oh my goodness, we finished it. And I'm so glad we did it. I showed you the step by step so you can create your own characters as well and not just, using our template or our handout for today. So oh my God. I hope you guys had fun. This is what we created today. Thank you all so much for joining in the class. I hope that it was great. I hope that that was inspiring. If you have any questions and didn't get the answer today, you can always reach out to me on social media at Mommy Lay, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Also, if you created anything with us today, make sure to tag us, make it with Michael's, and also learn with Michael's. Um, and then show some Faber-Castell some love. Of course, fabercastell.com and also at Faber-Castell USA. Thank you all so much, everybody. As always, stay creative and stay happy until next Wednesday. I can't wait to create with you again. Thank you all so much. Have a good evening.